Hello everyone, I hope you are doing great. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to use the Fetch API. So the Fetch API is used to make HTTP requests to get or send data from or to a server, and it returns promises, alright? So let's start off with an example, alright? So this is the fetch function, going to use it. I'm going to pass in a URL, alright? And first, let's console log the result of this fetch function. Console.log. And if I save the file, as you can see, it returns a promise, which means we could use the then and the catch methods on it. All right, so let me take this one out, and then let's use the then and response. And let me console log it, see how it looks like. And there we go. So we got this response object that has all these properties. So this fetch returns a promise, and when it resolves, right, this then is getting called, right? So, and we get access to this to the response from the promise, and we just console log it. All right. What we're interested in is the body response.body, right? So how do we access the response.body? All right. So instead of logging the response to the console, I want to return the response.json. So the response.json, right, is going to parse the response.body text as JSON, all right, and it's going to return a promise. So we would have to wait for it, all right, using then, and then we could access the body. Here, I'm just going to call it data and go into console log, all right. If I save the file, as you can see, we got our array logged to the console. It has 10 users, all right. So this is it. And let's add catch, all right, to catch errors, all right. So console log something went error, all right. Let's console log the error, all right. That's how we do it. And let's say let's say I missed typing the URL, right? So let's say instead of users, let me add another S. If I save the file, you would think that the catch method would be called, all right, which is in this case not what happened, all right. We didn't catch our error. Why is that? It's because the fetch doesn't throw any errors, all right? So the way we could handle it is from here, right? From the response. So the response, right, has a property called OK, and it could be true or false, all right? So we are going to check if the response, right, that OK is true, which means the call was successful. And in that case, we are going to return our promise. Otherwise, right, we are going to throw a new error. All right, I'm just going to give it this message: something went wrong. All right, and now if I save my file, as you can see, we managed to log this message to the console: something went wrong. All right, coming from here, so we managed to catch our error. So yeah, keep in mind that if the fetch wasn't fulfilled, all right, it would still, this to then method, they will still be called, all right, and that's not what we want. If the response wasn't successful, we want to throw an error, and we are going to catch it from here, all right. So this is for the promises, all right. Now let's see how we can use the fetch API with async away. All right, let me comment out this thing, right, and in here I'm just gonna create a function called a get users, all right, and I'm just gonna call it from outside, and in here I'm gonna define a variable. I'm gonna call it response. I'm gonna call the fetch function, all right, but I want to await for the fetch. But as you can see, guys, we have an error in here, right, because we can't use await, or await is only used within an async function. So if I add async in here, as you can see, guys, the error disappeared. By the way, I have two videos, right? One for async await and another one for promises. So if you have any problems with these two, just make sure to check out my videos, all right? So in here, once we have the response, right, we are going to check if it's successful or not using okay, all right? So if it's successful, again, we are going to wait for the response.json, and then we are going to console log our data. If that's not the case, the response was not okay, which means it wasn't successful, we are going to console log this error message, all right? So if I save the file, as you can see, we got our error message here because it should be users and not users with double S, all right? So if I remove additional S and I save my file, as you can see, we get access to our array, all right? So quick recap, all right? So we awaited for this fetch function, all right? We stored the result into this variable called response, and then we checked if it was okay. If that's the case, which means it's successful, we await again for the response.json, and then we console log the data. Otherwise, we console log this error message. So the response.json is a promise, right? That's a promise, right? It is going to parse the response from the body, right? It's going to parse the body, right, as text to JSON, all right? So that's what it's going to do, and then we're going to console log it, right? So yeah, that's it pretty much for the fetch API. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you on the next one.